Think big, the first step to transform your life. Once upon a time, in a small valley surrounded by mountains, two little seeds slept quietly beneath the soil. The first seed whispered, "It's warm and safe down here. I'll stay where I am. The world above feels too big, too uncertain." The second seed replied softly, "Maybe, but I want to feel the sunlight. I want to see how far I can grow." Days passed, weeks followed, and one morning, the brave seed began to move. It stretched, cracked open, and pushed itself through the dark soil. At last, it touched the sunlight, and the world welcomed it. The other seed stayed where it was, saying, "Maybe one day, when I'm ready." But that day never came. We're all a little like those seeds, aren't we? Some of us stay in the comfort of what we already know. The same streets, the same job, the same dreams. Because the world beyond seems too wide, too risky. But life doesn't grow in comfort. It grows when we dare to think bigger than the limits we've quietly built around ourselves. Thinking big isn't about chasing money or fame. It's about believing that your life can become more than what it is right now. That small belief, that quiet whisper of, "What if?" is the very first step toward transformation. Years later, that brave seed had become a small tree. Its branches reached high, swaying gently with the wind. Birds came to rest on its limbs, and travelers stopped beneath it for shade. Meanwhile, deep beneath the soil, the other seed still lay in darkness. It had never sprouted, too afraid of rain, too afraid of the cold, too afraid of the world above. One day, a drop of rain found its way down through the cracks of the earth. It touched the hidden seed and whispered, "What if the light is kinder than you think?" That single thought, "What if?" was enough. The seed trembled, sent out a tiny root, and began to rise toward the unknown. There was once a man, too, who had lived his whole life in a quiet little town. He had a steady job, a modest home, and a comfortable routine. Each morning, he walked the same road, spoke to the same people, and dreamed the same small dreams. One evening, sitting by his window, he saw an airplane cross the darkening sky. Its lights shimmered like moving stars, and for the first time he wondered, what would it feel like to go somewhere I've never been? It was a fragile thought, but like that drop of rain on the seed, it changed everything. From that night, the man began to ask new questions. What if I'm capable of more than I believe? What if fear is not a wall, but a door? Those questions didn't give him all the answers, but they did something more powerful. They created space in his mind. And sometimes, that's all you need. A little more space for possibility. Thinking big doesn't begin with action. It begins with imagination. Every great change starts in the quiet moment when someone dares to believe in something more. The man didn't quit his job. He didn't move to another city. He didn't suddenly become fearless. What he did was smaller, but infinitely more powerful. He began to think differently. Every morning, instead of asking, "What do I have to do today?" he began asking, "What can I learn today?" That simple shift from survive to grow began to reshape his entire life. He started reading books that opened his mind. He spent time walking outdoors, letting new ideas breathe through him. He began speaking with people who inspired him, not because he was suddenly confident, but because he realized courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing something that matters more than fear. Slowly, the The world around him didn't seem bigger. He did. The same town, the same job, the same sky. But now, he saw possibilities where before there had only been walls. That's what thinking big truly means. It doesn't require money or luck or talent. It begins the moment your mind expands beyond what you once thought was possible. When we think small, we build invisible cages out of, I can't, I'm not ready, or maybe later. But when we think big, we open a door, not to the world, but to ourselves. Because what limits us most is never the size of the dream. It's the size of our belief in it. So tonight, before you fall asleep, ask yourself one gentle question. What if my life could be more than I've ever imagined? And when that question lands softly in your heart, don't rush to answer it. Just let it rest there, like a seed waiting for spring. One day, you'll wake up and realize that the thought you planted has begun to grow roots. The man didn't become famous. He didn't change the world overnight, but he changed his world. And that's where every great story begins. He started waking up with questions instead of excuses. He began saying, "Why not?" more often than, "What if?" He stopped waiting for the perfect moment because he learned that the perfect moment begins the instant you believe it's possible. That night, the man looked out his window again. Another airplane crossed the sky, just like before. But this time, he didn't wonder what it would feel like. He simply smiled and said, "Someday, I'll be up there." And for the first time, he truly believed it. Greatness doesn't begin with action. It begins with thought. So think bigger, dream louder, and let your mind lead the way. If this story reminded you of a dream you once had, leave a plant in the comments. Let's remind each other that the sky has no limits, and neither do we. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that awaken the quiet dreamer within you.